Welcome to the New Author Podcast, a weekly podcast diary starring Jerry Evanoff and Rich Kacy. Join them weekly as they talk about writing, publishing, and marketing their books. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Author Podcast. Today is Monday, July 7th, 2025. This is episode number 317. I am one of the hosts of this podcast, Jerry Evanoff, and with me, as he is each week, is Rich Kacy. Rich, I'm in the dark today. What do you think? Does it look better? Does it look worse?
Actually, I think it looks better. Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's looks more dramatic because there's a little more shadows on your face and stuff. And somewhere recently I read a book about lighting and stuff for podcasts, and it's always better to have it either on the side or up above you coming down or whatever, so that you have some shadows, gives your face definition. Doesn't make it look so flat. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had definition before. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those cinematic things.
Yeah, I got rid of the ring light. More for the game purposes than I did the podcasting purposes, and I stuck another LED up here above me. So I think that's where that light is coming here, and there's a shadow back here. The light's coming here. I need to mirror my screen and flip me around. Yeah. So anyway, so how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm going to talk about this later, but I stumbled into a horde of books and I scored myself. Oh, it's backwards, isn't it?
No, it looks good.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looks backward on my screen. The kick-ass author writer from Chuck Wendig.
Ooh.
So almost
Star
like
Wars.
it's like
He wrote some Star Wars
brand.
books. Nice.
Yeah. And he's had recently he's had a lot of good horror books. Staircase in the Woods, Black Orchard, or two I can think of. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about that later.
Well, good. All right.
It's always fun when you stumble into a bunch of free books.
Yeah. I remember Lindsay when she was moving, not moving. She was cleaning stuff up a couple of years ago. She was rebuilding her office and turning it into something else and moving her office upstairs. She had a whole bunch of extra books, and she just said, "Do you want any of these books on writing?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take all of them."
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a bunch of them over there. I got some up here. I got a couple of them back behind me on the bookshelf here. Like there's the story grid down there somewhere. And so I do it, and I don't even look at them very often. I just like have them. I don't know where it is on books.
Yeah, well, every now and then you pick them up and you just kind of leaf through them when you got nothing else to do.
Well, I'm too busy reading really bad books for podcasts instead of like actual good books.
Oh,
the next one. Oh, my phone's in the other room. The next one I believe is called Night of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith.
I think I've heard of that movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Recently too. Maybe it was you that did you mention it last week? I do remember.
It's very possible. I did,
okay. Yeah.
Is that it? Night of the Crabs? I think that's it. Yeah, that sounds about right. Guy N. Smith. I guess it's like a horror book that from a while back that like horror writers now will say that, they looked up this thing. But I read the first chapter and it's funny. So,
yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, let me jump into my stats for this past week. I'll skip over my recap since I did it last week. And last week's goal was an easy one for me. It was to basically have an inciting incident, a midpoint, 2 pinch points, and an ending for book 9, which I succeeded. And for the second straight week, I succeeded on Friday, which means I still had 3 days left, to succeed or go farther with it. So I really have been giving myself some pretty easy goals the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to give myself a really hard, probably not going to happen goal at the end of this podcast. Stay tuned for that. You will be happy to hear that my book 9 has gone from 0 words up 2,120 words to 2,120 as I wrote chapter 1.
Nice.
I still only have the first 5 chapters plotted, and I have, again, the midpoint, a couple of pinch points, and a climax. But I really did want to write the first chapter for some reasons that I'll get to when I talk about Sunday. For the year, I'm sitting at 106,610 words on the way to my 145. That I planned for the year. And it's so funny that we're just over halfway. I am, more than 2/3 of the way there, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna get done because once I finish writing book 9, I'm done writing. So, I might, there's an outside chance that at some point in the next 6 months, I write book 4.5. I did kind of settle on what I'm going to do price wise for these books once they come out, unless something changes in my mind between now and then. I'm going to go, book 1 is $3.99 right now on Amazon. Book 2, each individual book is going to be $3.99, except for books 8 and 9, which are going to be $4.99 because I'm going to do that.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna once book 4 comes out, I'm gonna create a box set of 1, 2, 3, 4, make it 99 cents. I'll create another box set for 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7. Probably make it like $7.99, and then 8, 9 will be individual, not part of boxes. They'll be $4.99.
Right.
It's kind of what I do. And then that'll give me I have 1, I have 1.5, I have 7. So at the end of that box set, 7.5 is also a free book that they can read, so they can get into 8 with a couple of a book 7 and 7.5. So I kind of want to do the same with 4. If I do 1, 2, 3, 4 as a box set, I'd like to have a 4.5 free book that kind of leads them into 5. So I might do that. We'll see.
Right. One of the things I was going to mention is that I was listening to the Indie Author podcast. I think is it Indie Author or Indie Writer? I can't remember.
Indie Writer, I think.
Okay, Indie Writer.
I listened to it today.
Okay. So you heard Cara Claire say something about raising all her book prices up $1. Well,
$1, yeah.
Yeah, about after discussions with how people were talking. I was thinking that maybe, Kara's got quite a few books out in series like you're going to have that you maybe ought to look and see what she's doing in terms of pricing and how she's boxing it and stuff to see.
Yeah, let me make a note here.
What she's doing now. She is in a completely different genre, and that kind of matters, especially since romance will be priced lower in general than almost everything else. But yeah, I thought that might be something you could look at.
Yeah, I'm happy to see like anybody who has a longer series. I'm actually curious to see what they're doing.
Right.
With like, I'm not talking somebody who has like a 30 book series or a 25. I'm talking somebody who has 1 through 6 or 1 through 9.
Right.
I'm curious to see how they package them together and how they price them. Maybe I have to go look at that.
And I think that's what she does. I don't think she runs her series very long. I think she just changes the what she's writing about or the storyline or whatever. So.
And then my words per hour did stay the same at 1283, so no change there.
Okay. Well, my week was pretty good. In fact, I exceeded what I thought I would be able to do. It. I actually wrote 5,487 words. So the Cozy Mystery is up to 11,208. And since I only had a 3,000 word goal, I exceeded it nicely. And I think I'm going to have to, again, do a 3,000 word goal later in the podcast, just because I like exceeding it. Even if you get to Friday. No, I didn't do that. I didn't get to Friday and have it done. In fact, I didn't exceed the goal until Saturday. So I wasn't quite that. My total words for the year are at 137,743 words of the 200,000 word goal. So looking good.
Nice. All right. Well, let me jump into my week here because I had a really interesting week. It started Tuesday. I was in the office. At lunch, I continued working on my plotting, organizing stuff. It's become a kind of a monster task itself just to do the organization. I mean, even today when I plotted, it was mostly just organizing stuff from the first 5 chapters. So, but at the end of it, I was done after lunch, and I walked into our kitchen, and our CIO, who's my boss's boss, he came through, and he recently asked me for a list of my books. He said, "Can you give me a list of your books? My family's doing a reading club, a book club." Mm-hmm. And he says, "I'm looking for books." He says, "Maybe we can have one of yours." I'm like, "Okay." So I gave him a list. Well, now he talks to me every now and then about the writing, which is kind of cool. So he mentioned to me, he asked me how many words I wrote today. And I said, well, I didn't write any words, just plotting, trying to get everything together. This is book 9. I'm trying to bring it all together now. And he said, you must have one heck of an organizational way to do this to make sure you get everything right. And I said, well, that's been the problem.
If only.
Yeah, exactly. That's been the problem. I have nothing. I have a story Bible over here that I need to pull in. I have notes all over the place. I have some stuff in my head. Like I'm trying to consolidate it. It's not there yet. And he said, well, I should look into NotebookLM. And I'm sure you're familiar with it. In fact, I know you're familiar with it because it created a podcast for you.
Right. I remember Joanna Penn talked about it, and I went and played with it for a little bit.
Well, so did I in the last couple of days. It's fantastic. I don't know how it was for you, but maybe a year later, 8 months later, whatever. It's great. So he told me, he said, one of our programmers, it's so funny. I'm standing there talking to the CIO about my books. Then the CEO walks in. He's now the chairperson. Used to be CEO. He's actually higher now. He walked in, and all the 3 of us are standing around talking about my writing, which is kind of nice. But they started talking about the AI and what you do with it and everything. And my boss's boss told me, go see your boss. He's one of the developers on the other side of the house, as we would call it. He's been using this NotebookLM for some work stuff, and he said, just have him show you what it looks like. I'm like, okay. I talked to him anyway, so I walked over to him after lunch, and he gave me a quick overview. And this is what I did not know about NotebookLM. I'd heard it. I didn't realize it was this thing where you upload source material into it, whether it be you can't do Word documents, which is kind of silly, but like Google Documents, and you can put links in there to like YouTube, and you can put MP3s in there. I believe it's like this library of sources, basically.
Right.
And then you go into the chat side and you can ask it things about the sources. This is very similar to ChatGPT's project, where you can upload your files and do the same thing. And I'll talk about my results at the end of this podcast and the stuff to share, because it was very, very interesting.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't use it that much, but what I did, I was pretty impressed with it.
Okay.
It could be another. The problem is it's another thing.
Right. Right.
Even though it was a good thing, it's another thing, and I'm just not sure if I want to deal with that. So we'll see.
Yeah. It has to be a really good thing to supplant the thing you're already doing.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And the problem with having another thing is now you have to transfer all of that stuff from this thing to this thing.
Right.
And that's time that you don't necessarily want to spend.
And right now we're really thick in the middle of an AI arms race where all these companies are attempting to surpass whatever somebody just released last week. So if you actually followed everything, the newest and the best, you'd just be bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah, you'd never get anything done.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Yeah. So then let's see. And then interestingly enough, a little bit later, we got an email from our HR department telling us, hey, based on what we said in the last town hall meeting, we're going to give you guys some extra work from home days. So if you don't know, I work in the office 2 days a week. And if you work in the office 2 days a week, you get 5 work from home days, where you only have to go into the office 1 day a week or 0 days a week on that week using your work from home days. You get 5. If you only go in the office 2 days a week, you don't really need them very often because you can maneuver your schedule around. You can just pick the 2 days you want to go in and kind of deal with your schedule. So you don't really actually ever need, more than 1 or 2 of those. I've, my coworker has kids. So if there's doctor's appointments, things like that, then yeah, he's going to have to use them. Personally, not really me so much. I just take them because I want to take them. When you go into the office 3 days a week, you get 8. And at the beginning of the year, I was going in 3 days a week. So I got 8 of them, and I actually used 5 of them because the weather, January, February, March, was so bad that, and back then I thought I had to go in on Thursdays, which I didn't actually have to do. And so I took a bunch of Thursdays because of the weather. And then when I went down to 2 days a week, they took 2 of them away from me, kind of prorated them, and left me with 1. I had 1 left.
Okay.
So then this email says, we're going to top up your work from home days. So I'm, okay. So I go in and look, and we have 5 more. So they basically doubled everybody that works twice a week in the office. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
That took me from 1 back up to 6, which was great because I'm going to use 1 2 days later for no reason other than I just wanted to. In the evening, we had our golf league. I won my match. I didn't play very well. I shot a 49. Again, I keep saying this. It's the same person swinging the same clubs, the same way, all of that stuff. And I just can't take the good golf on the weekend to Manakiki on Tuesday. I'm just bad. I don't know why. It drives, and I'm already excited to play tomorrow because I think I can do it, and I'll be let down again.
Is the course much harder or longer or what?
A lot harder.
Oh, okay.
It's actually distance-wise, it's the same.
Okay.
But there's very few flat spots, and the rough is like, the place I play on the weekends, you can hit through the rough. I can swing a driver or a 3-wood through the rough, no problem.
Okay.
But at Manakiki, the rough is like thick grass. It's horrible.
Well, that explains everything then. Yeah.
Yeah, but I should stay out of there, though. I should be able to hit it down the middle. The whole thing is ridiculous. So anyway, we did win our match. Me and my teammate, we won 22-18, so we were happy about that.
Just having the uneven footing, if the course isn't flat, that makes it really difficult.
Yeah, most holes, if you hit one into the fairway, you're not going to be standing on flat ground. The ball's going to be above your feet or below your feet or something. It's horrible. And by the way, did you hear James Blatch talk about his hole-in-one today?
No, I didn't.
Did you make it to the end of the podcast?
No, not to the very end, no.
At the very end, he talked about how he got a hole-in-one last week or the week before last, whenever it was.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. What a jerk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I still don't have one.
He was playing in Spain, I think, right?
Oh, I don't even know where it was.
Yeah, I think he was playing in Spain.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so annoying.
Nice.
Anyway, Wednesday I work from home. Nothing writing related at all. I did take my rental car. I don't know if I mentioned this. That Monday last week that we podcast, I took my car in. I didn't know how long it was going to be. It could be months. Parts for electric cars aren't exactly laying around the parts stores. You got to get those shipped in.
Right.
I was worried. This is going to be months. So I took my rental car over to the gas station. This is before I knew I was working from home, and filled it up. Used the gas station for the first time in 8 months. Was worried that I wouldn't know how to do it. But I was able to do it. I was very proud of myself. I was able to actually get gas like a big boy. And came home. That was Wednesday. So came home that night and just decided, I'm working from home tomorrow because
Why
I
not?
got extra days, and when am I going to use them?
Yeah.
So I put in the work from home, and woke up Thursday. It was great. Let's see, what did I do? So let's just keep it going with the rental car. So I filled it up with gas the previous day. I reprogrammed the radio stations to get all of my radio stations that I like on Thursday morning. So what do you think happened Thursday afternoon?
Oh, sure. The dealer called.
Yeah, they called and said your car's ready. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to complain. That's great. But boy, why did I just spend $25 on gas?
Yeah. What did they have to do with it? I forgot.
The headlight. So I think water got inside the headlight.
Strobing, right?
Yeah, it was strobing. Yeah. So they had to repair. But they also did a tire, rotate the tires. You know, they say you should do that for 10,000 miles with these electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was free, so what do I care? And then there was a recall back in December saying that the horrible, whiny sound it makes when it's under 25 miles an hour. It's a federal law that electric cars have to make some kind of a sound so pedestrians know they're around because they're quiet, they're silent. Apparently, the recall said this horrible, annoying sound isn't loud enough. So I had to take that. So I told him, just do the recall while you're in there. And then I ended up driving up at noon driving up in the afternoon around 4:30 to get my car back. It was so exciting.
So your car wasn't breaking enough windows as it rolled down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The funny thing though, Rich, I think it's quieter.
Oh, really?
I don't know what they did, but I don't know if they turned the dial the wrong way, because I think it's quieter now.
I was going to say,
yeah,
don't complain. Don't complain.
Yeah, and it was so funny because I got back in the car and stepped on the gas and just had a nice smooth acceleration. I had forgotten with these gas cars how herky-jerky they are as they shift gears, and oh my God.
Yeah.
And so I got back in my car. I'm spoiled basically now. It's a nice smooth ride. I'm just very happy about that. So in the evening I did pull out some 1965 APBA football, and I played the first quarter of the Browns versus the Cardinals from week 2 of 1965. Horrible game. It was weird. I played about the first 18 or 19 minutes. It was 5-0 Cleveland, and it was just constant incompletions. I get bored I don't like defensive games ever. I always want 35-31, and so I played it for a while and had some good time.
But for 65, that was pretty accurate. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The passing percentages back then were awful.
Yeah.
So now it's Friday. It's July 4th. We're off work, and I have lots of plans for this day. Although I wasn't going to go out until after the parade. There was a parade at like 10, I think it was, here in town, and it's a pretty big parade. It goes for almost an hour. So while I was there, I did a whole bunch of other things. Number one, I booked my flight for Vegas, which is nice.
Good.
It's a couple of nonstop Southwest flights. I haven't flown Southwest in like 20 years. But it's a couple of nonstop flights, which is nice. I haven't had a nonstop flight to Vegas in 5 or 6 years. I'm glad about that.
Yeah. I was wondering, since you booked that, you probably didn't even feel compelled to sign up for the waiting list for the next writing retreat over in UK.
Oh, I tell you, when they were talking about that the first time, I thought about it.
Yeah. I didn't think about it the first time because I've had, it's going to be like everything else they do. But after hearing them talk about what happened at the one they did have, that sounded pretty interesting.
My fear at something like that is totally my fear. And it's probably a lot of people's fear, which is I'm going to go there. No one's going to talk to me. I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm not going to contribute. I'm going to be kind of like the extra guy out to the right who nobody talks to, but I'm still like doing the sprints and stuff. I'm not the person who walks up to somebody and says, "Hey, what are you writing?" I'm just not that person. And unless somebody talks to me, I'm not going to talk to them. So and I also have this is the wrong thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I also have a fear of a little bit of clickiness with 20 books to 50K. There was a little bit of clickiness with a certain group.
Yeah.
And I would talk to them and it was like I wasn't even there, and it bugged me.
Yeah.
And it was people from London or England, people from there. It was a group that group out there, and you could probably think of some of the people who were in it.
Mm-hmm.
And my fear is that I would go there and it'd be the same kind of thing, like all these people who know each other and would not pull me in because I'm not pushing myself in, which is my own problem.
Right.
And they would not pull me in. And that's probably not true. That's probably just a fear that's not true, but that is a fear that I have.
I don't think it's true. I mean, part of the thing is people in the UK are much more reticent than Americans are in terms of just talking. I don't want to say they're shy, but they just don't talk as much. And for that, like that writing retreat, if it's like 20 people or whatever it is, it's small enough. You can push yourself into any group. In fact, that's one of the things I found. I've always been an introvert. I've always thought of myself as an introvert, but after almost a year and a half working at the library, I will go up and talk to anybody now. it just doesn't bug me a bit.
I'm an introvert until I know you, and then I'll talk like crazy.
Right.
But like that first time, it's why I'm single, for crying out loud. That first time is like, I don't want to go and just say something to have you go, oh God, who is this guy?
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I booked my flight for Vegas. I bought some new golf courses for my golf game. We have these courses here. They look like this. If you're on YouTube, you can see like there's Whistling Straits is what it's called. There's number 8. They look like they have a book where you can build your own. So I started building Manakiki, a course that I stink at. And I'm going to make it really hard, and I'm going to play with it in my game at some point.
My son and I used to golf that course. It was Whistling Straits or whatever it is. In the PC game for a golf game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably easier on those.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah. Then I went in and I updated my jerryevanoff.com site for a couple of reasons. I wanted to make some changes to the dates that I had on there for when things were going to be out. I was obviously underestimating, like always. So I went in there and made some changes to it. I also wanted to update it because I know now this book club at work, people are going to be looking at it. In fact, they might be listening to this podcast right now because there's a link to the podcast on the site. So hello, people from work, if you're listening. So I also wanted to make sure that was up to date and made sense. So then I took a look at the NotebookLM, which I will talk about later. I spent an hour or so on it. And then I spent some time on it Saturday also. So I'll talk about that in a little while. I started doing some of my plotting at home. It wasn't time to leave yet, but I was sitting there doing nothing. So I started working on the plotting from home. I worked through the midpoint. And then I wanted a really big midpoint. I wanted something that my main character, Sam, a death that he witnesses, but something louder than the midpoint in book 8, where it was kind of sniper gets the guy right next to him. In this case, it's kind of an explosion type of thing. I wanted something bigger for this book. I have a boat explosion triggered by a drone, which is kind of fun, a little technology there. So I'm kind of excited about that. And then my mom finally texted me and said they were home. That means I could take Max over there. So I took Max over there, and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. And while I was there, I kept plotting. I worked on the first pinch point, finished it along with the climax, and then I did the second pinch point. And again, for the second straight week, I completed my goal by Friday, which made me happy. And I said maybe I should start assigning harder goals to myself, which I'm definitely going to be doing at the end of the podcast. Stay tuned for that. In the afternoon, I didn't do much. I did cut my grass, which I hate doing. I actually went to a website today for a company who does lawn service and like grass cutting. It takes me 20 minutes at the most to cut my front yard and side yard. I don't always do my side yard, just front. Right. 15 minutes if I don't do my side yard. And I still went to this company's website and I just filled out a thing and said, just tell me how much it's if it's $200 a month, I may be in, because I hate cutting the grass. Yeah. So when I cut the grass, it's an event because I have to then shower, change all my clothes, or I'm going to be sneezing for the next few days. It's just.
Well, I was just thinking that you don't like to be outside at all unless you're on a golf course.
Right, so, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. It's the only time I like to be outside is when I'm on a golf course. Exactly. So there were fireworks. I played my golf game a little bit, the one that's sitting right here in front of me. And then their fireworks are at like 10, I think, here in town. And they're one of the biggest ones. I was reading an article in the paper yesterday about how this little town of 5,000 people attracts 25,000 more people to it when the fireworks are coming.
Wow.
And it's throughout the whole day because we have carnivals set up and then we have fireworks, we have a parade. It's the whole thing. So yeah. And we start paying for it early in the year, where you have like all the different things downtown where you contribute money for things, buy something, and some piece of it goes to the fireworks fund. So yeah, it's a whole thing here in town. Yeah. It's like a Gilmore Girls town sometimes.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so it's much more of a community event than just the city putting it on.
Yeah, and I never go to any of them because I'm not a community event person. But yeah, it's good. So I was getting up the next day at 5 a.m. to golf, and unfortunately, because July 4th was a Friday night this year, the fireworks were going off from the neighbors up past midnight. It was. I asked my sister. I saw Lindsay on Sunday, and I asked her, or yesterday, I said, am I an old man if I've considered calling the police during this? She's like, you're 100%. Don't do that. Just don't. And I'm like, I didn't. I thought about it because it was driving me insane.
Do they do they drive Max up the wall, or
when it first started and we were still downstairs, he was laying beside me shaking.
Okay.
But after a while he stopped, and then when it was time to go to bed, where I have an air conditioner up there now, So it's more open than if the window was just closed. The sounds are louder.
Right.
And I think he just laid down and kind of accepted it as that's how his life is from now on.
Okay.
And so because he was fine after that. It's just I didn't go to sleep until almost 1. Then I got up at 5 to golf, and it was super hot, and I was tired. I didn't play well, except for the fact that I shot an 88 somehow. I stayed in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Which was amazing. Like, I know I parred 4 of the last 6 holes to do that. I played really well on the back 9, which is pretty surprising there. Usually do better on the front than the back.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's great. And my playing partner was pretty terrible for the same reason, because he was up late that night and then got up at the same time. So it's terrible. So home on Saturday. Oh, good.
We had fireworks here like we do every year. Baton Rouge is a pretty big city down on the Mississippi River. But they were done by 10 or so.
Okay.
And we had no fireworks in the neighborhood. Usually they're going off all night long in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
There just wasn't anything. And I didn't know if people just weren't in the mood this year or what was happening.
I'm surprised to hear it because usually people take advantage of that time to do that. So I don't know. Came home after golf for a little while. Then I was off with my mom and dad's to drop Max off. And again, Lindsay was in town. So I hung up there for a little while. And then I was off to Hothead, where I actually wrote the summaries of the first 5 chapters. This was basically Act 1. I completed the summaries for Act 1. Very happy about that. I didn't expect to get that far on that day, but getting through those first 5 chapters, basically getting from the chapter 1 that I already plotted all the way through the first pinch point, which is at the end of chapter 5. I was pretty happy about that. Came home, played my golf game, played my football game. Saturday, just played my golf game. And then again, Lindsay's in town, and now my niece, Paris, is there too. So I stayed at my parents for about an hour, just hanging out with them, chatting with them. And then in the evening, I did nothing. And then finally on Sunday, yesterday, we didn't golf on Sunday. I was kind of glad. Pretty much everybody canceled on me. No one could play. And after getting very little sleep the previous night, I really didn't want to get up early again and go hang out in the heat again and play by myself. When I play by myself, I'm usually really in a hurry, and I play pretty terrible. So I just thought, let's just take half a Tylenol PM Saturday night, fall asleep, and just wake up when you wake up. And that's exactly it. So I felt really good Sunday morning. I did get up and shower, and I was off to Panera, something I hadn't done in a while. But I didn't eat breakfast like normal because I wish there was something other than Panera around. So I figured I'll just get a muffin, and then I'll stop somewhere on my way home and get lunch, which is what I did. But I did some writing. This is where I actually cranked out 2,110 words, 200,000, 2110, I think I said. Yeah. I wrote chapter 1. The reason that I wrote it was because I had a couple things in there that I need to explain a little bit more as I went on through the story. And instead of like trying to just plot some more, I figured I would just write it. And as I'm writing it, I'll figure out those things, which there were 2 things, and I figured both of them out. So I was very happy about that. I ended that chapter. It's 2 scenes. The first scene ends with a character that everybody thought was dead coming back and meeting Sam in a cemetery.
Ooh.
And the second, and then he handed off some information. And the second scene has him just killing himself on the grave of a dead body that was killed. It's a whole thing.
Wow.
In fact, I went to my mom and dad's house to get Max later. And my mom said, you wrote, what'd you do? I'm like, oh yeah, I ended up with a suicide. And she goes, why'd you end chapter 1 with a suicide? Because she knows I'm a murder mystery writer. And I started to explain to her the whole story of Eric Benson and how thought he died in the end of book 7.5, but it turns out it wasn't him. And then he sneaks up on Sam and gives him the information he promised way back in book 3. And as I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, this is making sense. I think I might be able to do this. I think I might be able to get this puzzle right. So I was very happy about that.
The question is, were her eyes glazing over as you were explaining to her, like most people?
She asked questions.
Oh, okay.
Like, so I think she was actually listening. This is great. So anyway, I came home, played my football game for a while, and finished that Browns Cardinals game. And I'm getting ready to start the next one. Probably Wednesday, I'll play Giants and Cowboys from 65 week 1. The Cowboys won 31-2. What a great score.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of those, what's that word that where it's every combination of football score that exists, there's only like 7 of them that haven't been gotten yet or something like that. Like 1-0 hasn't happened, and 2-2, 3-2 probably has happened, but I forget what that word, scoregami, that's what it's called. It's like a grid of winners and losers, and then every single last number of the score that's happened. Anyway, it's beyond the point. So stopped and got groceries and played my football game, like I said, and then went to get Max and hung out over there. And then the evening last night, I didn't do anything. I kind of sat on the couch. I made some dinner. And at bedtime, I went to bed. And this morning, I worked from home. At lunch, I did spend some more time organizing my motives for each of my suspects. And then I went through those 5 chapters, the one I wrote along with the 4 that I plotted. And I just kind of made a list of, okay, chapter 1, we meet this character. Chapter 3, we meet these 2 characters having to do with those suspects, making sure I just understood where I was at the end of chapter 5, so that when I continue to plot tomorrow, I'll know exactly what who do I still have to introduce and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where it was. Yeah.
Sound like a good week. Busy, for sure. Yeah. My week last Tuesday started by spending the morning on Tuesday with Tammy. We had a leisurely breakfast. Tuesdays are the day I don't work in the morning. And I sat there at the table. I could have gone outside. It was too hot. I didn't want to. Our windows were all steamed up from the air conditioning during the night. So instead, I worked on all our seed collection, heirloom seeds that we have. We've been collecting them this year, as we do almost every year, as our plants grow and put out seed. So I was organizing and cataloging and putting them in little envelopes and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. It's a lot like, stamp collecting or coin collecting or whatever, except every year you get to use some of the seeds in order to grow something that you put in your garden. Went to work at noon, spent the first few hours in the back room with really nothing to do. So I decided to do a little bit of editing on what I had written to date on the Cozy Mystery. I had 913 words to chapter 1. So that one now stands at 2,153 words. So a decent sized chapter. I then did a short shift on the public desk and took my dinner break at 4 since I was going to be there till 9. I went to Chick-fil-A, and for some reason I felt like I was really hungry. But I was unhappy about it by the end of the eating period, because I ate not only one of those big salads that they have, but also a 4-count chicken strip.
Wow.
So that was a lot of food.
Well, think of it as if you put the chicken on the salad and just made it a chicken salad.
Yeah, put the chicken on the chicken that's on the salad.
Oh, okay. My bad. That was a chicken salad. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So I went back, tried to stay awake. It was mostly a quiet night, so I had a ton of time to write, really. Most of it in large blocks of a half hour, 45 minutes at a time. So it was almost like doing sprints. By the time 9 p.m. Closing rolled around, I had written 2,017 new words. So it was good.
Nice.
Yeah. Got home about 9:30, had a bowl of fresh green bean soup that Tammy had made from some of the stuff she'd picked in the garden. And then we started working a particularly difficult puzzle, which will become a theme this week of how difficult this puzzle was, until about 11 p.m. when we turned in. Wednesday, that was a bit of an odd day. I didn't have to go to the library until 1, which is unusual. I usually start at 9, but the reason is because I knew on Thursday I was going to have to work a 12-hour day. Oh. So since I'm not allowed to work any overtime, I got those extra hours as a comp time on Wednesday morning. So I spent that morning planting some more seeds in seed trays for our fall vegetable garden, which will be going in, start going in today, but mainly will be going in August. We have I think I've mentioned before, we have 2 distinct growing seasons here in the Deep South. We have the spring season, then we have what would essentially be most people's winter, when it's so blasted hot out there, everything dies, unless it's a native. And then we have the fall growing season, which runs from August or so up through, in the good year, we can run all the way to Christmas before we get cold weather to really knock things back. So I spent the morning planting seed trays. I put in tomatoes, eggplants, red bell peppers, winter squash, pumpkins, and Korean melons. On the way into work, I did stop at Chick-fil-A again. Did not stuff myself this time. Just kept myself to a 3-strip meal. And then once at work, I was pretty quiet at the desk, so I was able to wander around gathering things in the library to give away as prizes for the bingo that I was going to be hosting the next day. Got a bunch of adult and kid books, things like library branded coffee mugs, tote bags, anything I laid my hands on that wasn't nailed down, I took. I then got sweet talked into moving a ton of donated books from one side of the library into the other side of the library. So I definitely got to work out doing that. Because I was just carrying them in boxes. I don't know why I didn't pick up one of our flatbed trucks that we have, but I was just carrying them by hand.
You did say, I think last week that you usually are the one who gets voluntold to to do all the heavy lifting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was pretty much what happened there. That took up basically the 5 hours I worked. That was collecting things and moving things. I don't think I spent hardly any time on the desk, just a little bit. Once I got home, we had dinner. I had made pork carnitas the previous day or day before. So we had tacos with the pork carnitas, and then we went back to work on this really difficult puzzle. And the thing that makes it really difficult, it's a puzzle of birds. So we thought, okay, we're going to get this and play with it because Tammy likes birds. I like birds. But in between each bird picture, there's just wide swaths of white. Ooh. And it's not white that varies in color either. It's just flat white. And trying to figure out where the pieces go on that and all those white spaces is really a pain in the butt. So we did that until bedtime. Thursday, I was up and at work at 9. I spent the first 3 hours on the public desk, and then I grabbed some lunch before I had to launch into setting up the room for the bingo and putting out all the prizes and doing all that kind of stuff. I took a short break where I spent some time rummaging around in the back room, storage room that I'd never been in. I was basically looking for more prizes if I could find anything in there. And I'll tell you what, that back storage room looked like a tornado had blown through it. People had just been throwing things. In fact, the emergency exit door in that room had about 10 feet of cardboard boxes piled in front of it.
Oh, jeez.
So, I know, apparently the fire marshal hasn't been there in a while to look at that. But I decided then and there that was going to be my next big project at the library. It was going to be to clean out that room. I know it's not technically in my brief. That's probably something circulation people should be doing, but I decided I was just going to go ahead and work on it. And then bingo rolled around about 6:30 p.m. And it was fun. I was surprised. We had a downpour about an hour before. I thought, well, the rain's going to keep everybody in. We're not going to have a big crowd. But we ended up filling up the room to capacity. In fact, we had to put out a couple more tables. We had 65 people. It was a good mix of kids and teens and adults and seniors. And yeah, it looks like most everybody had a good time. People were happy and laughing on the way out, asking when we could do it again, and they posted good comments on the Facebook page. So that was good because my boss, who was off that night, my big boss, the branch manager, saw all the comments on the Facebook page. So I got some kudos for that. And we partied until about 8:30. I was supposed to end it at 8, and I forgot. I just kept on going. It was like, I think if I just kept on going, they would have been there till 10 if I would have let them. Would have pissed all the librarians off because when 9 o'clock comes, that door is locked and they want everybody out. They want to go home. So we'll see. I'm now, of course, whenever you do anything good at work, you suddenly get designated as that person. So I'm now the bingo man. Hopefully, it won't be more than a couple times a year, but we'll see. Mainly because I'm not sure I could scrounge up enough prizes for having it too many times a year.
Did you give everything that you found out?
No, I did have more than I needed. Okay. And weirdly enough, all the little knick-knacky things like coffee cups and branded umbrellas and tote bags and stuff, all that stuff went first. And all the really nice books that I had put out that were really, I thought people would snap up. Those were the last things to go. So people come to the library to get swag, I guess, and not books.
Yeah.
Friday, I tell you, Friday I was wiped out after that 12-hour day the previous day. So we didn't have any plans for the 4th, and I did even less than no plans. I did manage to get outside a little bit and harvest what we do have left in the garden before it started to rain. But then I came in and continued to read on the current book club novel before passing out, taking a late afternoon nap for I don't know, I may have slept almost 3 hours on Friday afternoon.
Wow.
After dinner, we tried and failed to finish that puzzle. And
do you ever give up on them, or is it always no? We're gonna finish?
Boy, we don't like to give up on puzzles. In part because we want to see if all the pieces are there. These are these are puzzles that now recently that we've been doing that since the library has a puzzle exchange. We take in a puzzle and take somebody else's puzzle. So we want to see if all the pieces are there. And anyways, we failed to finish it. In fact, we just gave up at some point because it was giving both of us a headache. We just decided that's time to go to bed. Saturday, this was my weekend to work. It was like I had Friday off, so I had that nice break after that long day of bingo. But I was back at the library on Saturday morning, but it was a really slow day. I spent the first few hours on the desk, and then I escaped after lunch to finish cleaning up in the back room where we had the bingo. I'm not sure if it was everybody was hungover from 4th of July parties or what, but we had maybe the slowest day since I've worked there. That people came in, but I did have lots of time to piddle around writing in the back. I went to Chick-fil-A after I'd finished cleaning up the bingo room, and then was back on the desk, and it was so quiet that I managed to add 2,557 more words to the story. So
that's a lot.
Yeah.
I know how long it took me to write my 2120, I think it was. And I feel like you probably, how long did that take?
Well, it was over a period of about 4 hours. So,
okay.
And I was doing it again in like half hour, 45-minute chunks. I can't sit still for more than a half hour, 45 minutes without having to get up and do something, walk around a little bit. I don't know if the chairs are uncomfortable or if it's just, just the way I am. So yeah, it was broken up into little sprints basically. After dinner, we attacked that puzzle again, and again, we failed to finish it. Although this time we got a little bit closer, and my wife did come up with a strategy for finding where these stupid pieces go. And of course, being who she is, everything had to be perfectly organized. All the pieces had to be lined up in rows so that we could tell the minute differences between the way they were cut. So I said, that's great. Once you set that up, and maybe I'll help you.
It's not like an Ask AI thing anywhere you can do.
No, yeah, really. Please complete this puzzle.
Yeah.
Sunday, one of the supervisors, I was working Sunday, brought in donuts for the Sunday crew, which they often do because there's very few of us that show up on Sunday morning. And I know I shouldn't have done it because of my weight loss goals I have for this year, but I ate 2 of them.
That'll kick your metabolism into gear. It's a good thing.
That might have actually happened.
Yeah.
I then did a bunch of little tasks that needed finishing until we opened at 2 p.m. And then at 2 p.m., I just disappeared into that back storage room. That was such a mess. And I started organizing, and there were all kinds of donated books in there. That's where I picked up the Chuck Wendig book. There is in great condition. Most of them were not in good condition. I'd say for every one good book I found, there was probably 4 or 5 that were mildewed or yellowed or had been wet or something. All those I boxed up for the dumpster. And I put the good ones aside for our Friends of the Library Recycled Reads sales that they have once a month at the end of every month. But I did also manage, in addition to the Wendig book, to score myself 4 Hunter Thompson paperbacks, including Hell's Angels, Songs of the Doomed. Let's see what else I have here. Better Than Sex and Generation of Swine. So I'm looking forward because I love Hunter Thompson and the way his gonzo journalism and the way he writes. At 4 p.m., I need to go back on the desk and work, but there wasn't much traffic. So I decided, my book club is coming up here on Thursday. I better actually read this book. So I dove in and started reading some more of the book. And I got to within about 10 or 12% of the end. So that made me pretty happy because there was actually a chance I might finish it by Thursday.
Which book is it?
It's Echoes of Old Books.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah. And one time we had dinner, and then we finally did that evening finish that puzzle. Only because my wife had lined up all those pieces in the trays, and we could actually kind of see where they might or might not fit. Exactly. I'll have to tell her you did that. She'll appreciate it. And then today, I was really worried after eating those donuts to step on the scale. But no, it was good. In fact, I weighed the lowest I have in probably a couple of years at least. I was down to 215, so I'm now halfway to my main goal for the year, which was losing 30 pounds.
I think you weigh less than me now. Oof, I got to start.
I can't say it's been easy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But what's happened over the number of months, and I've been using that Noom app, the Noom program, where they categorize your foods into green, yellow, or orange. They don't like to use red because they don't like to say that any food is off limits. But the orange ones you're not supposed to eat hardly at all. The yellow ones you can eat some, but you're trying to concentrate on green. And it's really basically an idea that you want to eat foods that are less dense in calories for their volume. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've been following. And it, it's kind of strange sometimes because you can eat things like a Chick-fil-A that you think should be a lot and they're in the green zone, but you can eat things at Chick-fil-A that are in the orange zone. Of course, you'd expect them to be in the orange zone, like a chicken biscuit for breakfast would fall in the orange zone. But anyways, it's been working for me. Basically, because I think it's been shifting a little bit what I eat and what I don't eat. The other thing, of course, that's helped is this year we have planted a bigger vegetable garden than ever. So we have to eat all those vegetables because neither of us can stand throwing things out. So,
okay.
And even though we're not technically throwing things out because we take it and whatever scraps and stuff we do have, we either feed it to the chickens or we chuck it in the compost pile. So nothing goes into the trash, but still. Then we spent some time out in the garden. Let's see, did I skip days or am I good?
No,
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. So and I also spent some time outside transplanting fall pumpkins and the Seminole squash I had planted last Tuesday. So it's been less than a week, but they were already up and about 6 inches tall. So I planted them into grow bags, and then I went around and did a bunch of fertilizing with a low strength kelp solution that we use to fertilize things. And by noon, I didn't mention this, but earlier in the week, one of the burners in our stove has always been out. Well, not always, but it's been out for about the last 6 months. It one of those things where it's a dual zone burner, and you turn it on, and all it does is go right to high and stay there.
Jeez.
But I figured, well, it's just one. We got 3 more we can work with. Well, one of the other ones went out. Dual zone ones went out earlier in the week. So I go, okay, I got to fix this because my wife just can't deal with it. That and I burned plantain one day, which was unfortunate. So I went and I ordered the parts to fix it, and they came today at noon. So then I spent the next hour or so replacing those burner controls. Stove works great now. I got, I just love YouTube and repair videos. I don't know how people figured stuff out before YouTube videos. It's just.
Have you seen the Ryan George video where he looks up how to fix a door, and it works, and he fixes the door, and then and YouTube just now gives him those as recommended videos over and over. He's like, no, I already fixed the door. I don't need this anymore. And YouTube's like, but you liked it.
Yeah.
You said you liked it. I don't know what to expect from you.
Yeah. It's probably going to happen to me too.
Yeah.
I then took a shower and I took a nap and got up, add stuff to the outline. Now we're recording. And after dinner, I think I'm going to try to finish off Echoes. So I'll be all ready for Thursday.
Are you familiar with the tomato plant? Have you ever grown one?
No, I'm not familiar with it either.
It's I heard this. I listened to Tony Kornheiser, and he talks about gardening, and he talked about this like last week for the first time.
Okay.
It's a plant that apparently grows potatoes underground and tomatoes above the ground at the same time. It's real. No, it's legit real. I looked it up because I had the same look on my face you did.
No.
Yeah, it's a grafted plant.
Oh. Okay.
Because they're members of the same something or other, it'll actually work. And I'm looking at pictures online right now of people actually showing it, and they're not AI, they're real.
Oh, that's wild.
And it's like a legit thing. So maybe you can look into
I'll have to look it up
at some point.
I'll have to look it up. If it's grafted, it means you'd have to start a tomato. You have to start a potato plant and then graft in the tomato shoot. So I'd be willing to experiment with that. See what happens.
Yeah, I'd be real curious to actually see somebody do it because it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In fact, it's funny you mentioned potatoes because that's one thing I forgot to do today. I took a nap instead. I was going to go to the store or organic food store and buy some seed potatoes because next month I'll also have to plant potatoes for a fall crop. And we just finished this morning. We finished the last of our spring crop. So. And I've got nothing new other than what I've talked about.
Yeah, the only one I want to talk about on my running list is the planned trip to Vegas. It's basically done now. I have the hotel booked and I have the flight booked. The only thing that I have left is, I go into my Vegas app rewards and I look at the rewards because they used to be really good at one point. You used to be able to get, buffets for free, things like that. I remember one day I was staying at the Excalibur and I got an all day buffet wristband for this because I play the game on Facebook, but way back in the day, I accumulated a whole bunch of chips, and you can redeem the chips for real stuff. And over time, they've gotten rid of all the good stuff, and now it's like, hey, buy this $15 beer and get a free dessert. But I'll go look and see if there's anything there. I always check. Other than that, though, it's pretty much planned. I'm ready to go. I have the flight. I have the hotel.
All right.
And I'm good to go. So that's the only thing I have.
That's great.
In terms of my addicted to, I didn't actually fill out most of the rest of the outline. I just realized that. I was looking at it while you were talking, going, oh, I didn't fill that out. So addicted to, I got to say, playing this golf game, again, I can hold the card up to the screen if you're on YouTube. You can see Sahith Theegala's card right there. I love playing this game. It's so much fun. And I love my football. I've been playing this football game for over a year on YouTube now, but this golf game's really getting in the way of the football. But I really, really love it. So I would say that's probably the biggest.
It's the appropriate time of year. Once fall comes around and the NFL starts back up, you'll be back into the football.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right about that. Yeah. So that's probably my addicted to.
Yeah. I put down here, I'm addicted to still, we're back on the ice cream bandwagon. But we're telling ourselves that it's okay. It's just really cold milk. So, but the other thing I've been addicted to is watching, Ted Lasso. Did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
I know of it. I've never watched it.
It's a great show. It's a great show.
People, I know people like it.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And given the sports background, it's all centered around soccer and stuff. I think you'd probably like it because it's just it always has a lot of athletes in it doing the goofy things athletes always do. It kind of reminds me of the stupid stuff that when I was in high school and playing sports that people did. So yeah,
I did watch the first 20 minutes or so of The Pastor and The Pro last week.
Okay.
And you're right. It wasn't that great acted. But it was an interesting story. And I just turned it off, not because I didn't like it, just because that's what I do. I'll get back to it probably. I'm sure I'll get back to it. They were just going to the door to meet everyone for the first time. Is where I turned it off.
You need to go to that next scene, but that next scene is hilarious. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
did you get there with the sit down with just the pastor with not the young guy, but the older pastor?
Yeah, I think I did. And now I'm trying to think back where he. Oh no, I didn't. He hasn't met her yet.
Oh, it
was just the young guy guy talking to the older pastor about.
Okay. No. You got to see when they meet because it is hilarious.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's a good concept for comedy. So
it is a good concept. I'm surprised nobody has taken that and run with it with a more developed movie because they could do.
It's kind of like a Pretty Woman, kind of.
It is
without the religious aspect.
It is. I mean, the ending is nothing like that. But
okay. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So looking at my schedule for next week, I didn't fill out the outline here, so I'm going to try to do this off the top of my head. I'm still plotting. Tomorrow I'm in the office, and I'll do some plotting at lunch. And I have my golf league in the evening. I do have my writers club on Thursday, so at some point tomorrow or Wednesday, I need to edit because I haven't touched the next thing I'm going to read in there, and it's going to be chapter 3 of that story, so I have to edit that. So that could be tomorrow at lunch. We'll see. But I'm going to continue the plotting through next time we talk next Monday. It's just at some point I have to edit my writers club book. Wednesday I work from home, and at lunch I'll either plot or I'll edit. Thursday I'm back in the office, and then I'll plot at lunch, and I have my writers club in the evening. We'll see how that goes. Friday, and I'm working from home. So because I'm going to Vegas, I needed to have a couple of extra days vacation to go. So the next couple of weeks I can't take half a days. I had it all planned out where I could do it the rest of the year. So for the next 2 weeks, I can't take half a days. I mean, I can and just take them from somewhere else. Right. But if I don't, then starting July, whatever that is, what is 7 plus 15, 7, 21, 24, July 24th? Is that a Friday? Starting on that day, that's when I would actually start taking my half days for the rest of the year if I just don't take any. So I'll work all day Friday. I'll try to do something at lunch if I can. Saturday and Sunday, both days I golf. Tee time at 6:40 a.m. After that, I'll come home, continue the plotting. I'll do my errands on Saturday, my grocery store on Sunday. And then on Monday, I'm back to working from home, and I'll continue the plotting. The goal, again, something tough, something I don't think I'm going to finish. I'm just going to say let's have the plot done by 1 week from today. Don't think it's going to happen, but let's make it a goal. The last couple have been easy, so let's fail one and see what happens.
Okay. Well, I've got a short work week coming up. Tomorrow, I don't go until noon, so I'll probably find something to do in the garden unless it's raining. Then I work from noon till 9, during which time I hope to get a chance to sneak in some words. If I can finish that book club book tonight or possibly first thing tomorrow morning. Wednesday through Thursday, it's normal 9 to 6 work days for me. So again, I'll just try to sneak in words where I can. I also hope to find some time to sneak back into that storeroom and do some more digging around, see if we can find some more books that I want for my shelf. And stuff to put aside for future bingos. Friday through Sunday, it's a long weekend off, and Tammy is going to an orchid show on Saturday with one of her girlfriends. So I plan on writing on Saturday. I'm going to try not to go out in the garden. I may be helped by the fact that it's supposed to rain all weekend. So that will definitely keep me out of there because I don't like to go out there when it's wet. Mainly because it's just yucky. I mean, 100% humidity is bad enough, but then to add rain on top of it, it makes it even worse. Monday, back at work, and although it's hard to say if anyone's going to show up, I will jam in some writing before we record in the evening someplace during that day. I'll see if I can get it. If nothing else, I'll be able to do a few words at lunchtime. Goal, the story is going pretty well. I like it maybe because I have no idea where it's going, and I'm just having fun with the characters at this point. So I'm going to leave my goal for the week at 3,000 words like last week, and hopefully it'll exceed it like I did this past week. And in terms of stuff to share, I've got nothing.
All right. So I have the NotebookLM stuff. I did open it up on Friday. The first thing I noticed when I opened it up was they do not allow Word docs as sources because they are Google and Word is Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
I think that's terrible. It reminds me of back in the day when I'd be watching NFL on NBC and they'd be like, here are the games today. And they'd never mention a game that was on CBS.
Right.
They don't do that anymore, but it's kind of silly. I mean, people use Word. If you want people to use your product, maybe make it a little more open, but I get it, whatever. It's
or back in the day where you couldn't, if you did anything on an Apple, you could never transfer it to a PC.
Oh, yeah.
And back and forth.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was silly. Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's cross-platform, I think it was called.
Right.
Yeah, it was silly. Right. So, no, don't get me wrong. It's not hard to open up a Word document, convert it to a PDF, and then you can use the PDF. So that's what I did. I took book one. I opened it up. I saved it as a PDF, and then I uploaded it as one of my sources. And the first thing I did was hit that podcast. I really wanted to see what that would sound like. And so I did it. It created a 16-minute podcast that it was awesome. It was so great. It was like,
it is
here's
amazing.
a summary of your book, said by these two people who think, the world thinks they read it. But what I was wanting to do is I wanted to create a non-spoiler version because I want to use it on my website. I like to put it up there and just say, hey, I created this with AI. It's a preview. What do you think?
Right.
And I didn't have a place where I could go in and type some details, like do this and do this. Well, at least I didn't think that I did. And the other thing it did is it pronounced a couple of names wrong, and I got a couple of details wrong. So my main character, the love interest, her name is Danielle, but it's Danny, D-A-N-I. And the very first time they said her name, they pronounced it Danny, and then every time after that, it was Donnie.
Oh,
and
really?
There's another character, or there's another building. It's a company called Bradkey that I spelled B-R-A-D-T-K-E. I think is how I Bradkey. I think that's right. And it was pronouncing it Bradka.
Oh, okay.
Bradka. So I think what I need to do is go in, create a copy of it, and then just do a find and replace Danny, D-A-N-N-I to D-A-N-N-I or D-A-N-Y. And then go into the Bradkey one and literally spell it B-R-A-D-K-E-Y. K-E-E.
I wonder if you could give it a little pronunciation guide up front, embedded in the document. You could do
Let's talk about that.
All right.
That's what I did next.
Okay.
So I opened it up again. Now I've actually found a spot on there where you can type, details. And it literally says, and let me see if I can open it real quick, see what it says there. It should be right here. And it's okay. So it literally says, let's get rid of you. And it says, audio over, click below the conversation. Now I can't figure out why it's not doing it, but it actually says something like, details or something like that, where you can actually type details. So I wrote in there, Danny is pronounced D-A-N-N-Y. It's spelled D-A-N-I, but it's pronounced D-A-N-N-Y. And in the podcast, they open it up by saying, and then there's the love interest, Danny, spelled D-A-N-N-I, but pronounced D-A-N-N-Y. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted you guys to do. What are you doing here? It was very funny. But so I did it there. I also said don't spoil the ending. Make it like a podcast that can be used as a marketing tool that doesn't spoil some of the people's secrets and doesn't spoil who did it. Generated another one, and the first thing it said was, "We're not going to spoil the ending." And Danny spelled D-A-N-N-Y. I mean, it just, and then it ignored it and spoiled a bunch of stuff at the end. So I did it again. This time I said, don't spoil the ending and focus on the audience of people who may not be interested in the story, who may be interested in the story, but want to read it. Pretend you're doing a preview style podcast. Try to make it exciting, which is weird because I feel like I'm saying right there that the book's not exciting, so I probably shouldn't have done that. But anyway, and it was better. Went a little bit too far. It didn't spoil the ending, but it did go a little too far into the second half of the book with some of the secrets. I didn't want that. So then I did another one, went into customize, and I said, don't spoil the ending. Focus on the audience of people who may be interested in the story but may want to read it. Pretend you're doing a preview style of podcast, something I can use as a marketing tool. Make it sound like an exciting read. And then I said, take it up to the second death. Don't mention who was killed. This is where the podcast should end, with the host now talking about how they finished it and loved it. Lots of twists and turns, lots of secrets. And don't forget the possible love story between Sam and Danny. Also, more than once, mention the author, quote, Jerry Evanoff, and mention that Manufacturing Murder can be found on Amazon. And then it told me that I reached my limit for the day. Okay. So I couldn't create it. And now it's the next day. I did it again on the next day. And again, I liked it, but it mentioned my name about every other sentence this time.
Yeah.
So I got to keep working at this. This is the free version. At some point, I'll probably do the pay version, but not yet. I'm impressed with that. And then I also asked it for info about the characters. I said, give me every character. This is 85,000 words. It's one source. I said, give me a list of all the characters that are listed here, and along with a short description of them and then what their role in the book is. And it actually hit every one of them. And it did well. Like when I did this with ChatGPT, it did not do anything near this. It actually did a really good job. And then I asked it for other things. What are all the items that could be considered foreshadowing? And it nailed. I mean, it did really, really well. Now I'm not 100% sure if it missed anything because maybe I forgot something and it didn't put it in there. But I was really impressed with it compared to what I saw from ChatGPT's project.
Right.
So
now, is it being powered by Gemini or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've heard that the new version of Gemini is really, really good. I have not played with it at all, but I hear a lot of people commenting on it.
Well, the big question I'm going to have now is when I get book 2, either I'll take the first draft of it and throw it into a document and upload it at the same time. And when I start asking questions about both sources, and when I get book 3 in there and ask questions about all 3 sources, I'll be really curious to see how it does then. Because that's really where ChatGPT fell apart.
Right.
So I'll really be curious. But overall, very impressed. Looking forward to getting back to it when I have time. And I'm not taking a lot of time right now to do anything with it. But really happy with it overall. I'm looking forward to continuing with it.
What's the content window on it?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even sure how to find that, other than just type into Chrome, because I'm sure Chrome will tell me. So what is the content window for Notebook LM? Do you know what LM stands for? Context window. It says 2 million tokens.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's huge.
What's a token? It's not 2 million words, right? That's
a token. Just like a rough rule of thumb, a token could be considered, I think it's 5 characters or something like that.
Okay. There's a Reddit post here, so it's on Reddit, so it's got to be true, right?
Yeah.
It says the documents say it can handle up to 200 megabytes or 50 sources, whichever comes first. Yeah, and from what I saw so far, it's definitely better than what ChatGPT does with their projects.
I'll have to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah. So.
I also want to play with 11 Labs because I've listened to Joanna Penn's podcast recently, some of the more recent ones she's done, and apparently 11 Labs has made a lot of upgrades to stuff. That it's almost at the point now where you can do, it's not quite there, but it's almost at the point where you can do multi-voiced reading audiobooks of your story. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And they have cloned famous voices that you could use to read your audiobooks. Like,
I think Cara Claire talked about using Scarlett Johansson's, and that's when she was talking. Or
Joanna Penn. Maybe it was Claire. I thought it was.
There was another name they threw out there.
Laurence Olivier.
I didn't hear that one.
Okay, so I think it was Joanna Penn, Laurence Olivier, and a lot of these dead actors whose voices you would recognize just from the old movies and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to be it.
Oh, Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie.
Oh,
was
really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because
I want her not narrating my book.
They were talking about what Agatha Christie would think about it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, which was probably not very highly.
Yeah. I actually have these ideas in my head about time travel, because I love the time travel books, about bringing somebody back from that far away, that long ago, and showing them like everything that exists now, just to get like, let me bring George Washington to the future and just show him where we are in terms of like technology and cars. Because you watch a Hallmark movie, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, a car, okay." But I want to see like a legit reaction from somebody.
Kind of like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going with it, Rich. Yeah. Yep. Yes. All right. Well, that's going to be the end of the podcast for this week. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me, jerry@jerryevanoff.com. The website is jerryevanoff.com. Find us on YouTube at New Author Podcast, or find us on your favorite podcasting app by searching New Author Podcast.
My email address is rich@richkacy.com, and I can be found on Blue Sky at Kacy himself.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Yeah, have a fantastic week.